Yellow. I just figured I'd do a quick little intro for this video. It's a fast video, but I wanted to talk about the Tau auxiliary that I've been working on. Kind of like a fun little project that wanted to do for a while, and since I do, a unit or two of kind of 3rd edition or 4th edition Tau a year, I figured it'd be fun to talk about my extremely simple paint scheme for this one. And anyone can do it! So I have a really great time watching this extremely competent video that's mostly in focus about my little toys. Thank you. Thank you. All right, let's get something straight right off the bat. These are entirely trash conversions, meaning I didn't go out and buy anything for these. I'm using things I just had on hand. The cool thing about the Tau and the Tau Empire is that they have, an untold amount of allies under their collective. So I wanted to make some human auxiliary troops that I could play as either Pathfinders or Fire Warriors for probably 3rd edition. And the nice thing about 3rd edition is that there are 4 profiles for the entire Tau army because they were brand new, and they just had there were Fire Warriors, there were Recruit Mercenaries, there were a few different Recruit Pathfinders. There was a vehicle. It was pretty bare bones, but I really like that because it limits the profiles, but it really leaves a lot on the table as far as plugging and playing with conversions and things like that. So what I'm doing in the video, this video is I'm making auxiliary troops, which obviously I said earlier, but I made a couple before the video, and then I realized that maybe it would be fun to talk about this because I really am using just junk bits. Some of these guys are some of the bits are just covered in layers of paints from eBay finds or trades with friends, or communal bit boxes, or my childhood. A lot of these, especially the Imperial Guard plastic Cadian bits and a bunch of the old Tau bits, you can see some of the Tau are painted yellow, some of the the one torso right there, second and from the left. That's a Tau model I painted, I don't know, 20 years ago or more, and I've just saved on. I save everything from miniatures and models, so it's fun to see a history of my my hobby essentially in this one specific project. I don't know, I think I cut myself off 14 times while explaining this, so I don't know what my original thought was with that. But I guess I'm trying to say that these are all just bits I've had around. Now, not everyone has insane bits collections, but it is pretty easy to make bespoke miniatures for your armies with little to no converting experience, and or piles and piles and piles of bits. These guys are Cadian bits, some old Tau bits, a couple new Tau arms, I think, and then the legs are they're either 3D printed or some sort of third party. Actually, I think they're a third party, quote unquote, totally not Imperial Guard legs. So you might not be able to find the exact bits if you're following along, which I don't really advise you do because I'm not going to explain this very well, and also I think you should make your own conversions. But if you like this vibe and you like a cool human squad for your Tau army because they're A, not affiliated with the Imperium, or B, they're defectors or heretics who left the Imperial Guard or left an Imperial aligned planet, I think this is a really fun, pretty easy project to do. But my whole thing, this has been my philosophy for my entire hobby career, but I've been talking about it a lot recently, and it's converting with intention. For my hobby, I really try to not only tell a story through my conversions, but there's always an intention behind that. I forget if I've mentioned this in videos in the past. I will never rewatch to find out. But yeah, there really is, you know, I think there was and is a want to, you know, really like create stories with our little toys, our little space people and our fantasy people and our historical folks that we're, you know, converting and or building and painting for various war games or display or whatever. I've been like evangelizing this lately, but yeah, just like, you know, having intent behind what you're doing. Like there's like think I've said before, that there's nothing wrong with throwing sand on a model for texture and giving it a zenithal highlight and slapping oil on it, but you know, for me, I want to think about like, what is this model? If it were real, where does it live? What kind of planet does it live on? Like for these guys, for example, I want them to look like they are obviously humans using some issued Tau equipment given to their regiment or whatever, or their squad in this case. But also, I want, you know, they have like that vague Cadian silhouette of the helmet, right? I took off the side pieces, but it's still got like the back, you know, panel and everything. Obviously, it's a classic, you know, plastic Cadian faces. But yeah, I don't know. There's, you can really like assume who these people are just based on how they look, especially when they're painted. If you know anything about the Warhammer 40k world, you can stare at these things for a couple seconds and be like, oh, these are humans who are allied with the Tau and they're using Tau weapons, and you know, then that like creates stories of like, oh, maybe they're ex-Imperial soldiers, or maybe they're from a world that hasn't been reassimilated by the Imperium yet, or maybe they're from an Imperial world that's kind of been abandoned or, you know, neglected by the Imperium, like many stories, and the Tau have started to trade with them and recruit there for the greater good. Anyway, I don't know, this is all, you know, just fantasy stuff, but I love that stuff. I mean, like that's why I do all of these little toy paintings and converting things. I like this model a lot on screen. I don't think he's the sergeant of this squad or anything like that. I think, especially if I run them as Pathfinders, if I ever play with these guys, you know, they'll probably be Pathfinders. So I think he's just like, you know, in that scout vibe of looking through his binoculars there, his future binoculars. But yeah, I like that pose a lot. I really like that he's got the I don't know, it's called the antenna from the Tau helmet, I guess, on his headset. I thought about giving everyone an antenna. I don't know, what is it called? Is it an antenna? Hey guys, write in the comments if it's called an antenna. But yeah, I like that it's just him that has that. I think it's kind of cool. Gives him kind of like a comms guy vibe, or something like that. Like I said, I almost put it on everybody, but I really like the simple silhouette. That, you know, you could turn off a light and, you know, just see these guys backlit, and you could kind of assume who and what they are. Yeah, we've got a classic enamel wash on these models now, and I'm just taking most of it off. I cannot stress to you how simple this paint job is for this army. It started with me just painting like one or two old junk Tau models I had that I cut up and repositioned, and I think I'll bring one in later to show in the video. But it started with that, and then every, I don't know, 6 months to a year, I would just like paint more, and then I ended up with like 12 Fire Warriors, I think, and then like maybe like 5 other Pathfinders that are Tau, and a couple battle suits and a bunch of stuff. And I just painted a Piranha from 4th edition, a couple Kroot Hounds. You know, there's Kroot in the works for later. I'll get to it at some point, which I am pretty stoked to get into. Oh wait, here's a Tau guy right here. So this is like one of the first guys I painted for this scheme, and it's just like, it was so simple, and I just did it with a Wraithbone Zenithal, my classic Tyler Wraithbone Zenithal, and then an enamel wash over it, and then I think it's Dirty Down that I'm using for these guys, and taking a lot of that off, and then bringing up the highlights, and then, you know, sponging on some battle damage, and once again, the biggest thing for these guys are the faces, which I'm doing right now in the video. But yeah, that's what kind of sells them. They have halfway decent faces, which these 8 models, by the way, are by no means kind of showing off my whatever talent I might have for painting. They are like, it's the most bare bones of everything. Like the faces, if you really get close, are pretty rough. I did like some basic highlights and washes and like, you know, kind of pin highlights around the eyes to make them look a little more realistic. I don't know, lived in. What am I even talking? Like what kind of bullshit? Anyway, but yeah, I mean the faces are really the heroes of these models, to give them, you know, character, because as you can see, I think I've used 4 colors, including the face paint now, and it's just the simplest thing you could imagine as far as getting these guys tabletop ready. But I really like that, because a lot of my projects are so insane, like how much time I spend on each model can get outrageous. So a lot of my YouTube videos I've been making are like trying to take my painting style and making it attainable, or making videos on models that I think are like a little more streamlined for batch painting and things like that. But this is a great like dirty urban combat Tau look that you can get with extremely minimal effort. It just takes, I mean, the biggest thing is like the drying times. Like after I did the enamel wash on them, I just went to bed that night and then finished painting them the next morning, because it just, you know, obviously made sense. But yeah, just like waiting for like the wash on the base to dry and the enamels to dry, and then the biggest thing is like when you take off the enamels, waiting for the mineral spirits to dry. So you're not finishing these guys in like one sitting, like in an hour, but you could definitely, you know, it's probably an hour and change of painting for this squad. And that's me, including me forgetting my paint recipe for them, and especially like for the base, I like panicked and was like, oh my god, how did I do this? And it turns out it was the laziest way I could have done it. I just with my heavy zenithal wraithbone, I just did a black wash and then some brown bits and bobs, and then like a very, very light dry brush of wraithbone again, or like some sort of like cream, like creamy white paint, and yeah, that was it, and that was the base. And then I went back, I think, again, and did like a little teeny bits of like watered down like brown wash, and then I end up throwing bricks on them, as you'll see. God, half this video is out of focus, and and every time too I make a video, I think about how I need to get better at that kind of stuff, and I just don't, and that's probably why there are 17 people who watch this. But yeah, man, they're cool. These are fun little guys, and once again, I'm introducing a new color to this palette, a blue contrast paint. I don't remember the name of it. It is light blue, and that is as good as you'll get from me from now. And here we are talking about the base and all that stuff. Anyway, Tau are very cool. I think it's pretty lame. I mean, listen, man, everything from Warhammer 40k is, if you actually read about it, it's all cool stuff. The Tau are awesome. Like, you know, they're like a collective of essentially, you know, space communists who believe in a greater good, and they're willing to fight and die and kill for that, adding to the flavor of, you know, no one in Warhammer is necessarily the good guys or bad guys, but the Tau, at least, they're stoked to work with other races and other alien races and beings. And I just think that's the neatest thing. So if anybody has cool ideas for Tau auxiliary troops that I should make a squad of at some point in my life in the next, I don't know, 30 years, let me know. Let me know if you have, like, or if you've made really cool, like, you know, Tau auxiliary troops. You know, let me know on Instagram or whatever. Or you can show me pictures and things like that, because I love the idea of not just it always being crude. I love like humans and other freaks, because that's really where 40K shines, I think, with armies like the Tau Empire and Chaos, the Imperial Guard, or any of them. It's so vast. You can completely create your own stories within the greater world of 40K. Here they are. Wow. Look at them. Look at them. And here's 4 of them. Oh, and the other 4. And the picture's a little darker. It's probably not a very good photo. And there's our poster child, because I took the best photo of him. Anyway, here's some more photos of the rest of the project as it stands right now. So anyway, yeah, next time you convert something, do it with intention, which sounds so obvious, but really, sit down and think about who the model is and why you're using specific bits, and really challenge yourself to create a story visually through your model making and painting. Because for me, that's what it's all about. Okay, thank you, bye.